Hello everybody. Well, some of you have asked about how I make my Super Ball mallets. Well, the Super Balls that I use are literally children's Super Balls. So, and the use of Super Balls or friction mallets or flumy mallets and so on, that's not unusual for percussionists to use. We manipulate a lot of instruments using Super Balls, from tam-tams, cymbals, timpani, bass drums, just anything at all that can be very, very effective, actually. The ones I make are very, very crude indeed. So, there's no way that I would be selling them at all in any kind of way. But just to give you a little example, is that this is a couple that have been professionally made, and they're wonderful to use. They really are. The ones that I make, on the other hand, are literally, as I say, different sized of children's Super Balls. So I have a little kind of compartment box here, and I have different sizes of balls. So larger sizes to much smaller ones, medium ones, and then just the round ball itself. So I usually cut the balls in half. You can just see there that this has been cut in half. As I say, it's all very crude. And then I have another box, I love boxes, that has barbecue skewers in it, some knitting needles, some bamboo handles, just anything. And you can just experiment. If you break a mallet, for example, or a stick, you might want to use that and pop a little Super Ball at the end. So it's just a matter of experimenting. What I do find is that some of the Super Balls can be textured slightly different. So, for example, some are very smooth, some are more rough, and so some will work more effectively on certain instruments. So it's always worth experimenting. What I have found is that some of them, after a lot of use, might become really, really smooth, and therefore it doesn't become effective anymore as a Super Ball. But don't despair, because it can be very, very effective if you're just sort of lightly striking cup bells or cymbals and bits and pieces. So it can be useful. And what I do is that I get a barbecue skewer or a knitting needle, whatever it might be. I stab the ball with the whatever you're using, and then I pop a little bit of super glue just around the base of the ball there. I leave it for an hour or two just to kind of take hold, and then you're ready to go. I mean, that's it. So obviously they're not going to last forever. The skewers can break, especially if you're just sort of pressing a little bit harder, but that's okay. So this is a broken one here, little handle there, and it's still really effective. So the smaller the ball, the higher the pitch normally, or the sound. The bigger the ball, we get a much lower sound there. What I have found, for as much as I do like the professional ones, obviously, and they will last longer, it's that I physically feel more of the sound coming through the ones that I've made. So literally, the stick can be, oh, that one is too smooth. Oh, there we go. Literally through the hand, which is really important for me. So again, you can experiment with that. But yeah, you can use any type of surface. I've actually got some packaging here from an old cardboard box. So it might sound humorous just doing that, but actually if you feed this, through a certain microphone, or you manipulate the sound, and then, you've got something really quite unique. You can see there are different sizes, so this one is fairly big. This isn't so effective as a Super Ball, it is too big, so I might actually just sort of cut this in half and see what happens. However, the shaft is much stronger, so it does feel good in the hand. Then I think I did go a tad over the top one day, so this one is far too big. It really is, and you can see the knitting needle is kind of had, yeah, I need to change that. So, but it's just a lot of fun experimenting, and that's what, you know, we do as percussion players. It's a never-ending journey of exploration. So have some fun with this, and don't forget that, you know, with any kind of sharp object, common sense comes into play. So, you know, if children are using these mallets, just obviously take care and see how they're being used. But otherwise, it's a very handy tool to have. Enjoy. Now, since I made the little video about Super Balls and I said, or I think I said, now these two don't really work anymore as Super Balls, well, I actually have to apologise. Emma, who's doing the filming, she said, come on, Evelyn, you've got to make these work. So lo and behold, Emma did the work. She managed to make them come alive. So I'll see if I can. Well, that's it for today's video, and as always, links to my social media channels and website are listed in the description below so that you can keep up to date with my latest news and events. And please don't forget to like this video and do leave me a comment so that I know what you enjoyed. And if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button so that you can get a notification every time I post. Take care and see you soon.